Hi, my beautiful brothers and sisters. I have a little bit to close. Part two. Yikes, sorry. Part two of Rulers of Darkness. And as I was reading to you, when I share Psalms, actually, John 9, 6, and 7, and I also put it in the description. Also now Romans 9 and 12, that it tells you the potter has power over the clay. The clay that Jesus tells you that he's God and his Father and Son, it muds you. It darkens you. So evil has an agenda. The thing is, the Bible tells you that. Jesus tells you that in John 9 and 10. He said, nothing comes to me but thieves and robbers. You know, I told you I came to do my Father's work. You know, why do you get mad at me? Because I call myself God. Don't you guys do that too also in the Bible? Hey, how am I breaking the law? You know, go read John 10. And then God sends a vessel of the Most High God is to tell you what it is that could remove that. And that is the water. So what happened after Jesus clayed him? That man went and got in a water baptismal. And guess what? He could see. And what did they say? Isn't that the beggar that was out there begging now? What? Now he's not begging. Guess why? Because he went and got in a water covet. Now he could see. You get it? Well, so then it brings me to Daniel 5, 1 through 25. Let's go to Daniel 5. Okay. Daniel 5, Bible verse 1 through 25. So listen to what this says, brothers and sisters. If this still doesn't tell the children of the Most High God what God has repeatedly have sent people in there, whether it was daughters or sons, to preach the truth, rather they fell into sleep because of sin or in darkness or because we had crossed over for preaching the truth, you know, understand I'm going to continue showing up preaching the truth. Daniel 5. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessel. Now this is God's children. Listen to what he said. Which his father Nebuchadnezzar had kicked out of the temple that were in Jerusalem. The king, his prince, and his wives, and the concubines, that they might drink. Now this are the kings and the queens and his wives and the concubines, the true vessels of the Most High God that King Nebuchadnezzar kicked out. But since they were feeding a spiritual drink, and he's going to tell you what spiritual drink they were telling them. Since while we were doing that, well, hey, let's call them in here and see if they'll drink that same spiritual gifts. And this is people that are not kings, that are playing God, that are playing kings, Elamites, we're talking AIs in the world, religion in the world, that is telling the true kings and the true queens, hey, come here. I got something for you. I know my father kicked you out of the temple, but I got something for you. Let's see if you do this. Listen to what he says. Daniel 5:3. Then they brought the golden vessel taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. The king and his prince and his wives and his concubines drank in them. They drank the wine. And listen what he says. Daniel 5:4. This is what it means about don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the wine. That Jesus says, I make this a wine covet. I remember when he said about the wedding, when he turned water into wine. What do you think he was talking about? It's a metaphor because it was supposed to be a water covet blessed by heaven. And instead he mixed it because he married somebody from a pagan world. So it turned to wine. And this will explain exactly what wine means. Listen, Daniel 5, Bible verse 4. They drank the wine and they praised the God of gold, the God of silver, of brass, of iron, and wood, and of stone. The true kings and queens and the little prince and princess that are going with the true kings of this world were drinking the wine of people that are just saying they're gods. They drank that wine and said, hey, let's get the real ones come in here and see if they'll lead up this lie and drink the wine. And they did. And this is what you guys are doing, child of the Most High God, the brothers and sisters in this world. That's why they're fighting for your inheritance. They're not fighting for you. They're fighting for you to stay asleep and worshiping them. And while they feast off of you because you're highly blessed, but because you're bowing down to a beast system, because you're worshiping other gods, guess what? They get your inheritance because you're in slavery. What was it that Joseph did while he was there? Pharaoh was getting blessed, and he said, all right, that's why he made him ruler, over them, right? And he said, and then Joseph still had to ask, hey, can I go bury my dad? You can send people with me. And he did. Why? When he was a king? Because he was drinking the spiritual wine. He was bowing down. So you stay in slavery because you're in a blood covenant. You're being mudded. Clay is being put. So she sends you people to tell you how it is to get out of that. And voila, isn't that the kings and the queens that were out there begging with their children? What? They actually own states and cities and vineyards to the real royalty blood? This is what she's telling you. Open your eyes. A water covet, 10 commandments, no other gods. And yet you drank the Kool-Aid. You drank the wine. You drank the lies. Daniel 5:4, Bible verse 4. They drank the wine and praised the gods, the God of gold, silver, brass, of iron, wood, and stones. In the same hour came forth the fingers of man, that hand and wrote against him in a candlestick upon the plaster of the wall in the king's palace. The king saw the part of the hand that wrote. The king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him. And the joints of the lions were loose, and his knees smote against another. The king cried out loud to the astrologers and to the Chaldeans and the soothsayers. And the king spake to the wise men of Babylon. Who were you bowing down to? To men that were just calling themselves God. These were 4 ungodly kings that were out there in their generation, that their soul left in a serving darkness a long time ago. And you that are true kings and queens were bowing down to a beast system. Do you get it? That's what it means when it says you're bowing down. And I wanted to make a correction because I see Latoya say, and I went off of that title, to deliver a message to you and what I'm trying to say when I say this. Her title said, let a man be masculine. Yes, she's right. You're a true queen and your wife is you're a true king and your wife is a true queen, right? And yet you're bowing down to what is made out of wood, gold, silver, all that, to men that are calling themselves God, and you're a king and you're settling. You're settling. That's what she's saying to the daughters. Stop bowing down to men that are saying they're gods and they're not gods. It's the daughters that are anointed. The men were in a covet with Satan, and this was to wake him up. She's going to wake him up. It's going to all be reconciled. It's already in the process. Everything had a divine. She's a judge. She has to teach us a lesson so we don't do it again. Daniel, she's cleaning the bloodline, brothers and sisters, and she really is. Keeping it royalty and royalty only, and not being mixed with the pagan world no more. Daniel 5:7. The king cried out loud to bring in the astrologers and the Chaldeans and the soothsayers, and the king spake and said unto the wise men of Babylon. And these are kings that what? The king cried out loud to bring an astrologer, the Chaldeans. These are people in darkness. And this is who you bow down to worship their gods of silver, gold, made out of wood and all that. You get it? Go read Daniel 5. Let it sink in. And the king spake to the wise man Babylon, whosoever shall read the writing and show me the interpretation thereof, shall be clothed with scarlet, and have chain and gold around his neck, and the third ruler of the kingdom. They came and all the king's wise men, and that they could not read, and the writing nor known unto the king interpretation thereof. Then King Belshazzar greatly troubled his countenance. He changed him, and his lords was astonished. And the king, by the reason of the words, was the king of the lords that came to the banquet. They came to the banquet of the house of the queen. And they spake, and they said, O king, live forever. Let not their thoughts be troubled. And this is, nor let the countenance be changed. There is a man. He said, there is a man of the kingdom in whom the spirit of the holy gods and the days of thy father's light, understanding wisdom, like wisdom of the gods of God of him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, the father of the king, say, it says that I say thy father made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. He gave him that promotion, Daniel, because Daniel could interpret, because God was working through him. What did he do with Joseph? He used him because he was highly anointed. What do you think she's doing with you when they bring you around? Or what is he doing with you when they bring you around? Because they know you're blessed. So they're feeding off of your inheritance while you're staring there waiting for your promises, for your lamp flowing with milk and honey. But she sends you people to tell you how to get there, and you believe in the people that are mudding you with clay, that they're gods. Daniel 5, Bible verse 12, chapter 5, Bible verse 12. For as much as excellent spirit and knowledge, the understanding, interpreting the dreams, and showing of the heart sentence, and dissolving the doubts, and found the same Daniel, the king named Belshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. And Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake, said unto Daniel, Aren't thou Daniel? Aren't thou the children of captivity? You guys were in captivity. We were all in captivity because we're bowing down to men that are calling themselves God, and they're just men. They're just men playing God so you could stay in captivity, so you could stay and they feast off of your inheritance. And it tells you, there's a Bible verse, and I'll run into it again, that said, let them keep fighting each other, and we'll feast off of their inheritance. Daniel 5:14. I have even heard thee, the Spirit of God's in thee, and the light of understanding. Excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have brought thee in before me, and they shall read the writing and make known unto me the interpretation of thereof. But could he not show the interpretation of the king, that I have heard this? They cannot not make interpretation and dissolve doubts. But if you could read writing that are make known to me interpretation, therefore thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, and have chain of gold about thy neck, and they shall be the third ruler of the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let thy gifts be thyself, and give them reward to another, and yet read the writing unto the king, that have made known into the interpretation. O thou king of the Most High God, give Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom of majesty and glory and honor. For the majesty that it is given, all the people, nations, languages tremble and feared before him, whom he would have silver, and whom he had kept alive, that he will set him up, and whom he had set down. When his heart was lifted up, his mind hardened in pride. He disposed from the kingly throne, and they took the glory from him. He was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like a beast. He was dwelling with the wild asses, and they fed him with grass and oxen, his body and wet and in the dew of heaven, until he knew and ruled the kingdom of man, that is appointed over whomsoever he will. And though he said, O Belshazzar, not humble thine heart, thou knowest all this. And he lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they brought vessels of the house before thee. Though are thy lords and thy wives and their concubines have drank wine. in them, and thou hast praised the God of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which you see not, and hear the hand thy breathe, whose all thy ways hast thou not glorified. She said, I've done so much for you on this journey to still get you, and yet you go glorified. You go glorified gold and silver men that are the beast system. She said, and you don't even give me thanks. She said, you don't even know me. Isn't that sad? And yet she still has your back. And listen what she does here. Daniel 5:24. Then was the part of the hand that sent from him in writing was written. This in the writing was written many tekel apprehend, right? Apprehend. It says, in the interpretation of the thing many, God has numbered my kingdom and finished it. That means, she gave it to him. But because he was making himself God and man and had his sons and daughters, her sons and daughters drink that Kool-Aid, she's bringing the wrath upon him. And that's where he was trying to get interpret, and Daniel interpreted. And then tekel means, though are weighed in the balance and though are found wanting. Paris. This is the kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. And they commanded Belshazzar. They clothed Daniel with scarlet, and they put chains of gold upon his neck. And they made a proclamation concerning him. And he said, be the third ruler in the kingdom. That night Belshazzar, the king of Sheldon, was slain. And Darius the maiden took the kingdom, and being brought 62 years old. You get it? That meant that she said, I'm taking your kingdom down. You had my children drink this Kool-Aid. And she's telling you and she's showing you her signs and wonders. The chosen vessel that God sent in there, just like she sent Moses to go in there. Then Israel send you in there to bring you home, flowing with milk and honey, to open your eyes so you're no longer blinded in what's keeping you from your inheritance. Do you get it? This is it, brothers and sisters. That's all. Just a messenger. Earth angel. Not just to her children, but also to this world, to wake you up in people that call themselves man, call themselves God, kings. There were dictators in the world. That's why we have so much evil in this world. Wake up. Wake up. And I didn't add nothing from the internet to get it to say it's in there exactly what I read. Piece it together for you, and voila. There's the message. Go back and read exactly just what I read to you, and then it's going to woe you. Amen? Wake up, beautiful children of the Most High God. Stop drinking the wine. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Stop worshiping other idols. You are the real royalty blood. They're not. Amen? Amen.